Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. In this podcast, we'll be having discussions around the secrets which attract lasting, healthy, fulfilling relationships, creating a healthy mindset, and what women should know and understand about men. Introducing your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts, relationship expert, trainer, speaker, and best-selling author of the Cupid's Bow technique. Lyn's mission is to have a positive impact in reducing divorce, domestic violence, and suicide.
Welcome to the Hearts Entwined podcast. This is your host, Lyn Smith, the Queen of Hearts. And today, listeners, I've got a fabulous returning guest. I really enjoyed chatting with her previously. Her name is Linda Goldfischer. So welcome, Linda, back to the Hearts Entwined podcast.
Well, hi, Lyn. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me back.
You're very welcome. And for those of you that missed Linda's last episode, that was about the joy of dating. On this particular episode, we're going to be discussing breaking unhealthy soul ties from our past. So really another interesting and fascinating conversation that's going to unfold, I'm sure, Linda.
Yeah, thank you. I have worked with many clients over the years who tend to have a difficulty getting past previous relationships. And so I have an 8-week, I guess it's a boot camp, so to speak. And week 2 during the 8 weeks is all about breaking unhealthy soul ties from our past in order to move forward in a new and healthy relationship.
Excellent. Really, really looking forward to this conversation. So I believe that you break this down into certain steps as part of your program.
Yes, I do. And basically, step 1 is acknowledging, well, I should probably review the fact that all of my coaching and my insight is faith-based. So I'm Team Jesus. And so a lot of where I get my inspiration is based on God's word and how he wants to guide us and how he wants us to live our lives. And he does want us to be, partnered up with a soulmate. But he does have guidelines that he wants us to follow in order to make it more successful. And so, yeah, I break it down into kind of 3 steps, and that's acknowledging that we have had sexual soul ties with someone in the past. So if you're a younger person dating, my best advice, I'm just going to put it out there, is no sex before marriage, because that way you are taking less baggage into emotional baggage, spiritual baggage into your future relationship. Now, for those of us that have dated or have been married and divorced, widowed, obviously that ship sailed, but we can aim for purity and we can regain our purity. We can heal from those previous connections and we can move forward. And so acknowledging that we've had that sexual soul tie and it's affected us, it's affected our self-confidence. Maybe we've engaged in some promiscuity, and there's a science behind it as well. So there's a gentleman named Dr. Amon, and he has done a lot of research on the fact that we create these neurological chemical connections in our brain when we are sexually active with someone, and in both partners, and it affects our limbic system, and so it's created this emotional connection and tie, and so breaking that tie and releasing it and moving forward is really important.
I think so too. I can actually, put my hand up and say that, I did go through a promiscuous phase in my late teens, early 20s. And, that was on the back of, my own lack of self-worth. And it was really me looking for love through sex, but not actually obviously going about it the right way because I didn't know any better at the time.
Right. And that's pretty much step 3 is regaining your confidence and knowing your value is so important. But let me back up just a minute for step 2, and that's part of rejecting the bondage that you're in. And I have my clients sort of go through a little exercise where it's almost like a prayer where you verbally, put it out there and say, you ask God to help you to release that soul tie from your past, and you name the person's name that you want to be released from. And then it does become a matter of replacing that empty space in your heart with healthy, mantras and healthy behaviors, restoring you to the person that God originally created you to be. And one of the scriptures I use with my clients is Job 27:6, which is, I will maintain my righteousness. I will not let that go. And my heart shall not be shame me anymore, so that we can feel good about ourselves. Put that in the past. We may have been promiscuous. We may have done some things, that we aren't proud of, but value yourself and love yourself, and know that God values and loves you and forgives you. And he wants that in your past. He wants you to, feel his love, receive his love, because really, in order for us to give love, we really need to receive God's love as well, and love ourselves again, so that we can love someone else in the future.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it, to learn from our past mistakes and not beat ourselves up, if that has been something in our history that we're not very proud of, or would want anybody to know. It's not sort of shaming ourselves over it, but forgiving ourselves for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we have a lot of, our morals and values, and we, for example, the 10 Commandments, we think, we need to, live by them strictly. But, I think when Jesus walked the earth, he broke it down into two pretty simple steps. Love God, your creator, whoever that is for you. I know everyone's not faith-based. And then love others. And the thing that I think the missing link is the part of loving ourselves. And knowing that we are lovable no matter what we've done in our past. And then because we love ourselves, we're not going to compromise our values in the future. And if that is one of your convictions, that you've decided to regain your purity and not have sex before marriage, and I'm not judging whether someone does, that's between the two people. But, he gives you that strength to stick with those convictions, and hopefully you're finding a partner that believes in those same convictions. And I think that's one of the things that's also important in moving forward. Once you've made this decision to move forward, and you're over the previous relationship, is knowing and recognizing who do you want to allow in your inner circle, what new friendships do you want to build, or when you start dating again, and signs to look for in someone that's not going to be a good partner for you. They don't have your values or morals.
And what other signs would you say would be sort of red flags when it comes to, choosing your next partner?
That's a really good question. Obviously, you want the most successful relationships are going to be based on a solid friendship before you engage in, intimacy. It used to kind of be, how long do you date before you have sex, right? Is it 2 months, 3 months? Is it the 3-date rule? Then you can. But lately in our new generation and the way the world is, it's kind of like, how long are we going to be having sex before we put a label on it and say we're in a committed relationship and you're my boyfriend and girlfriend? And that's kind of where we are nowadays. Unfortunately, there's a lot of the friends with benefits, and it's just, I've seen it's not a healthy way to go about dating. So you've made that decision to do it in a healthier way, or what you believe is a healthier way. And you want to look for people that they're supportive of you. For example, they're helping you achieve your goals. They're not, holding you back. That's one of the signs, that maybe they're trying to hold you back from growing and moving forward. If they've broken your trust, you started dating someone, but you've caught them in a lie, there's another sign to look for. Anybody who's probably broken, trust is the foundation of our relationship. So anyone that's broken your trust or lied to you, maybe someone who's another sign could be they're pushing you a little too hard. They're pushing you to do things, or, engage sexually before you're ready emotionally, or you feel that, it's time. That's another sign. Or they're putting you in those positions of, we'll just call it temptation. Maybe you're only just beginning the relationship and they're already, inviting you over for dinner and the candlelights and, encouraging things that you're just not comfortable with yet. You're not there yet. And then are they, filling your bucket, so to speak? Plenty of people in this world that want to empty our buckets, but are they edifying you? Are they, giving you positive, encouragement instead of bringing you down? Some of those relationships that we've been in have been, negative. And those are some definite signs I would say to look for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, It's about, being clear about what you want and what you don't want, and what you feel is acceptable and what you feel is unacceptable, and not, feeling that you don't need to rock the boat if somebody is behaving unacceptably, nip it in the bud.
That's right. And I know that throughout my clients, when they go through this process, especially week 2, it's kind of a pivotal point, because this is where they are, as I said, they're releasing their relationships from the past, and then they're beginning to manifest what they want for their new relationship. And there's certain signs that they'll see, or they'll say to me, I'm going through this process. It's created some really negative emotions, maybe, are triggering up or popping up. And that's okay. That's normal, because our old love wounds, when they start to resurface as you're, healing from that, that's very common that you may feel, a little bit of an emotional roller coaster while you're learning to deal with your past. And so that's normal too. But I always encourage them, stay hopeful. Someone else, while you're manifesting your new soulmate, someone else, he's out there manifesting you, is what I believe.
Yeah, I think you can't miss what's meant for you. So don't worry, it's on its way.
That's right. And if you can love that wrong person as much as you did, imagine how much you can love the right person that's put into your life. So I know that my clients, it's amazing how, when you really do start, you have to deal with the past, and moving forward, and you're staying hopeful and positive, that things just move rapidly. I mean, I had a client that she was at the 8th week of my sessions with her, and I mean, the week later she met. I introduced her to a client, and they've been dating ever since. It's been almost a year now, and she just transitioned. It just became a completely different person once she made a decision to let go of the past and forgive herself and move forward.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's what's exciting about, I suppose, your profession of being an executive matchmaker is seeing those results, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I know you work with a lot of clients as well, helping them go through the healing to get out there and date again too.
Absolutely, because what I find is with clients, they keep saying they repeat the same patterns in the same relationships, so they're attracting the same type of person, but they're not realizing that, the common denominator is themselves. And, that they're probably not aware that they need to heal stuff within themselves and from their past relationships. And that's why being single isn't a bad thing. A lot of people are unintentionally single, they're probably desperate for love, but consider yourself lucky if you are single, because it's going to be a good time to prepare so that your next relationship you attract is going to be a healthy one.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'm reading it's more of a journal, and it's the joy of missing out. Well, you've heard of is it the fear of missing out? Is that FOMO, right?
The FOMO acronym, yeah.
Right. So sometimes we don't want to be alone, so we put ourselves out there, or we get in the wrong relationships because we don't want to be alone, and that's kind of the fear of missing out. So I've just done a new study on myself on the joy of missing out and all the things we can do to grow and to keep ourselves happy and fulfilled, while not putting ourselves out there, because maybe this is my season to work on myself. And I don't know the author's name right offhand, but it's a fun little journal I got at Barnes and Noble, and it's the joy of missing out, and I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it's really been working. I mean, I spent Friday night last night, because I happen to be single myself, just doing some things in my journal book, some little things that keep myself busy and occupied while I'm in the season as well. So your clients and your audience is not alone. Even matchmakers and dating coaches find themselves single occasionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say, it's about celebrating whatever period you're in, whether you're in a single phase, or whether you're in a relationship that maybe needs to come to its conclusion, or whether you're in a relationship which is okay, but you want it to be healthier and more passionate or more fulfilling, it's about being grateful for whatever stage you're at, isn't it?
Yeah. And even when you're in a happy, healthy relationship, or even if you're currently married, your partner can't give you all of everything. We need to get some of our fulfillment from our friends, our family, our higher power. Your partner can't be your end all be all, and they need to have their other, outlets too, with friends, family, career, possibly, those kinds of things.
Yeah. And that is the epitome of, creating a healthy relationship, and not putting the onus on our partners to make us happy, or when he does this or when she does that, I'll be happy. It's not about having that attitude. It's about doing those things that make you happy for yourself, and then your partner being the cherry on top of the already great cake that you are.
Exactly. So appreciate yourself, value yourself, know that you are lovable, and that love will come manifest itself to you.
So any other words of wisdom around your step 2 phase of the program that you do in relation to the breaking the unhealthy soul ties from our past?
I think I just want to, like I just said, remind everyone that, loving yourself and valuing yourself, and not continuing those negative habits of self-sabotaging, and knowing that you deserve love, and that you will get what you want. Is just knowing your purpose and enjoying yourself in your singleness.
And what's the next step after that, after you've done that part of the process?
As far as my program for my clients,
no,
what do I usually have them work on after they've broken the unhealthy soul ties?
Yeah,
I have them work on more of the so breaking out how the soul ties, discovering their purpose is kind of the next step, as I go into more detail about how to discover their purpose, and rejecting some of the dating lies, and so that whole anxiousnness about learning to be alone, and dealing with the being alone part of it before you've met the new person. So I work a lot with them on the next phases, rejecting lies about dating, and maybe next time we can go into a little more about that, because it's fascinating how many lies we have told ourselves about dating and the process, and things like that.
That's a great idea. We'll do that. So let's work on a little bit more around the breaking the unhealthy soul ties from our past subject that we've been discussing in today's episode, and around, you mentioned how to heal from the negative belief that we're probably unworthy or unlovable. How do you deal with clients that sort of are carrying that around with them? And are there any exercises or words of wisdom that you can share with us today, Linda, about anybody that's listening to the podcast around how they can change all that for themselves?
I think you need to be in a routine of positive, mental self-talk. I think that's one of the things that helps you, get through it. And, for example, I wake up, I don't know if I do this every day, but, I have sort of my spiritual time. I do that, my spiritual time. And, I may read my Bible, and it's about waking up and saying, okay, Lord, what do you want me to know so I can do what you want me to do? It's getting outside of yourself, and maybe, finding that purpose in your singleness and moving forward in something positive. In my case, it's, my purpose is, it's not a husband at the time because I'm single. So it's, is there something I can do in my community for my family? And making a list of those things that you can, do each day in order to keep yourself in a positive state of mind, or frame of mind. Meditating on scripture, loving yourself, not believing that lie that, you're not good enough. And knowing that you are loved, and God cherishes you and values you, and staying positive, body, mind, and spirit.
Great stuff. And I feel that, for a lot of women, they quite often worry about, the when and the how in terms of, attracting the right partner. But if you knew for sure, if you was able to see in the future and you knew for sure you was actually going to meet the one, let's say in 2 months' time, what would you be doing in the meantime? So for me, I advise clients, let go of the when and the how and just focus on what you would normally be doing in the meantime, even if, you had the information of the when and the how.
Right. It's developing good habits for yourself, taking care of yourself is number one. You want to make sure that you're eating healthy, you're exercising a little bit, you're surrounding your inner circle with healthy people. If you have, any negative habits that you want to work on. And hopefully, he's out there doing the same, because, there's no perfect relationship, obviously. But working on yourself and valuing yourself enough to do that is really important.
And like you mentioned, it's key to sort of have our own people and interests outside of an intimate relationship as well. That's what's healthy. It's not about, being so immersed in the other person that nobody outside of your relationship counts, or no activity outside your relationship counts. It's actually really healthy to build your own activities, your own routines. And as I say, let that your potential partner be the icing on the cake.
Right. And you may feel like, well, I have all this time on my hands. Well, because you're single and you're not going on dates every weekend. You can give your time, volunteer your time, and you never know, you might be at an event and meet someone who's also, giving their time and donating their time and, doing some volunteer work or things like that to keep yourself, occupied and meeting other people.
That's great advice. I like the fact that you said, if you have got that time on your hands, rather than sort of dwelling, because sometimes I think we're in our own company for too long and we're not keeping ourselves actively engaged in other activities, whether that's socializing with friends or family or just taking part in some hobbies or interests. Sometimes our own self-talk can drag us down, can't it?
Yeah. And it's not just a matter, I think we touched on this, of not having the negative self-talk. It's actually about replacing that negative self-talk with positive self-talk. And this can be done through reading, meditating, praying, journaling is another thing. And one thing that it's hard to complain when you're journaling or when you're being thankful. And I think you did touch on that. It's about being thankful. Make a list of all the things you're grateful for and thankful for. And that's another thing that can help you get out of that negative self-talk. Absolutely.
And, you occasionally meet clients that say, well, I've got nothing to be grateful for. My life is a bit, excuse my language, shit at the minute. But, there's always something, isn't there? There is always something you can appreciate about yourself or about your life that you can be grateful for.
Right. It could always be worse, right? Even if it's something as simple as your favorite cup of coffee in the morning, or, your comfortable bed, or, that you get to take a hot bath with candles, tonight. It can be very simple, and just start with the basics.
I love that. Yeah, because it doesn't have to cost anything, does it really?
Right. But definitely important to take care of ourselves while we're in that season of waiting to meet the one.
Any final words, Linda, that you'd like to share with the audience around breaking unhealthy soul ties from our past before we wrap up the episode?
Well, if you don't mind, I think I'll quote a couple of scriptures. One from the New Testament, Mark 11:24 is one of my favorites for this season. It says, therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. And then Psalms 37:4 says, take delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart.
Oh, that's so lovely.
So those might be two mantras that, you can replace the negative with those two positive ones and, spend, I think it's, 21 days to change a habit, spend 21 days every morning or evening meditating on something like that or similar to that if you're not faith-based. And even if you're not faith-based, you can use those as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Why not? That it's all about, as I said, and what you've been sort of endorsing, creating that positive mindset and routine for yourself, whether that's around scriptures or not. It's going to absolutely change the way you start thinking, and on the back of that, it changes your behaviors for the better.
That's right, because God, he doesn't create mistakes, and he wants us to live the best life possible, because we are lovable and he does love us.
That's sweet. That's lovely. I love those final words. So for those audience members that would love to get in touch with you, Linda, what's your best contact information?
I think just my matchmaking website would probably be the easiest, and that is prestigematchmakingpros.com. Or you could email me, linda@prestigematchmakingpros.com. And I certainly answer all my emails. So I'd be happy to talk to anyone who's interested.
Thank you very much. That's brilliant. And thank you for sharing all your words of wisdom about breaking unhealthy soul ties from our past in this particular episode. It's been really interesting and I've really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much, Lyn. It's a pleasure being with you. And I look forward to talking with you again.
Excellent. We'll certainly do another episode around one of your other modules to do with your fabulous course that you run.
All right. Thanks again, and God bless.
And you. So, listeners, it just leaves me to say, true love starts with opening our hearts. And until next time, goodbye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Hearts Entwined podcast. You can follow Lyn via the Facebook group Two Hearts Entwined, or search Lyn Smith, inspirational speaker, at LinkedIn, or email lyn@hearts-entwined.com. That's LYN@hearts-entwined.com. Remember, true love starts with opening our hearts.